Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribes down below here. And this is part 3 of our mock draft. Latter stages. This is where a lot of things could go a lot differently. You could get guys that you are projected as a second round, and they could move up into this section. But anyway, please hit the likes and subscribes. And oh, by the way, I just want to put it out there again. Please boycott Samsung phones, Samsung Canada. Again, this was just a reminder. I should have put it in the other 2 episodes. I recently got screwed by Samsung, and I paid for a warranty, brand new phone from Samsung, and yeah, from my provider, and this they knew right away there was flaws with it immediately, so they told me to call Samsung, and I did that. And Samsung was not very nice with me right from the get-go. Many different agents for 3 days. Finally, I get one agent that had me. It's sounding positive, like it was going to go through. We were doing all the paperwork on the phone, and all of a sudden, his story changed when it came to the loaner phone because I have medical conditions. And with a warranty, normally you do get a loaner phone while this one's being repaired. Anyway, so he all of a sudden fed me a story that in Nova Scotia there is no place where they distribute loaner phones from this end. The closest one's Montreal, and they wouldn't do it from there. Meaning I would have to send my phone in and leave it there and be without a phone, and I have medical issues. So that was unacceptable. So I got nowhere. So I can't go without a phone. Anyhow, so that's the way they honor their warranties. They don't. And then just to let you know, there was 2. Now there's 3 other people, sorry. Last time I mentioned it was 2. Now I heard of a third. Their phone just melted, the battery. Newer phone, again. So watch it, and I know my phone even overheats. That's another one of the issues. So, but all these phones were new. It seems to be their latest batch of phones. Doesn't seem to matter the level, grade. But however, it's one of those things, whereas they're not honoring it. But there was one person who, and just a few blocks away, through his provider, he had a different provider, but when he called Samsung, they sent him a loaner phone. So very suspicious the way they behave with different clients. It's pick and choose whose warranty is going to be valid in their eyes, basically, as far as honoring it. Yeah, so anyway, sorry for my spiel. It was a little long, but it was important. I kind of was making up for the missed times I didn't put it on there in the other videos. Anyway, now let's get to it. We're going to make this very fast because this section is probably going to be, expect this, there's going to be a lot of different moves at this point on. Don't expect this to go in the order that it's projected. So we're at 23. Gavin Brindley to Columbus. That's they got another pick. 24. Luke, I'm gonna butcher this name. Dre Gavage. So I know I haven't said that name very well. New York Rangers. 25. We have Bonk. I can't make out my own writing. That's terrible for Nashville. Anyway, and then we go to 26, where they project Cal Ritchie, St. Louis, Mikhail, again another Russian name, Gol Yinko, and that's the Sharks have that pick. And then 28, it's Otto Stenberg for the Avs. 29, it's Dmitry Simnikov, and Leafs are projected at that position. And then we have 30. I did not know who came 30th. I'm going to say that's Carolina. And it's El Minico. So and I believe that's Carolina's. Anyhow, 31. That's how far our poor Habs dropped to. Now this pick, I think, may end up being traded to try to move upwards, or if they go for it, I would love to have seen them go for Quentin Musty at this point. This is what I was hoping if he drops down to there, I would grab him. The scouting, and this is from Hockey News. This is where I got my scouting list from, where they get their groups of scouts are projecting it, and they have it as Michael Harubel, the goaltender, which is the goaltender I do want the Habs to go for. I was kind of thinking in the second round to grab him, but anyhow, they're projecting because he is first round class. So is the Canadian kid. I can't remember his name. They were kind of going neck and neck, and Harubel just recently kind of took the lead in that department a bit. So they're projecting that Michael Harubel will get picked by the Habs at 31, whereas I would say if we're lucky enough and Musty falls there, grab Musty. If he doesn't, it wouldn't harm us to grab Harubel at that point. To be honest, at least you'd be assured of getting your goaltender. Then we got 32, which is Daryl Bratt for Vegas. And that concludes the first round draft pick projections for our mock draft here at Center Hice Productions. So, with that being said, this one's a little longer because of my spiel with Samsung. I just don't want to let them off the hook because they're making a lot of crappier phones. This generation of phones, garbage, and they're honoring its garbage, and their customer service is horrific. Okay, so next we're going to discuss the rumors that are going on, that have been going on for weeks. These ones are kind of different views. It's finally, I've been going on, this particular one's about Pierre-Luc Dubois. And with Pierre-Luc Dubois, I've been against it from day one because I look at his playoff history has been horrible. When it comes to the Winnipeg Jets, you look at his last couple playoff performances, I'd like to know where the hell he was. Didn't show this year. Invisible. The year against the Habs, and when we took that run against Tampa, going through Winnipeg, where was he? Not to be found. Back in Columbus, where was he? Not much. And you want a guy that performs in playoffs, and I'm sorry, his track record shows he's invisible when it counts. You can't have a guy like that. So he's an underachiever. That's the other thing. Yeah, he's got some numbers during the season, but they're not where they should be. He was projected to have more offensive spark than he does. He's also a player that if he doesn't like a team, he wants out. And he admits he won't perform. Do you want that in your culture? No. You don't want a guy like that in your culture. He's not a team player. That would be the most horrendous mistake Montreal would make. I've been saying it's, and finally I'm starting to hear a couple people starting to say, like Junkie had a video out there. I think it was yesterday's video. Might have been today's. I'm not sure. I watched so many of them of his. I watch all of them, every last one. Matt and I are pretty. I think the world of Matt. He's done a wonderful job. That's Junkie. Anywho, so basically, I seen him do one, and he seen the latest on the Pierre-Luc Dubois case. And that he sees what I see. Came out with this video. I've been preaching this for all year. So I've been against it for a couple years now, that it's been in Rumorville. It's been projected last year as well. I've been saying, no. John Tortorella is a smart man, and when he explains how this guy was formed, it says a lot. He's got the talent. No one is debating Pierre-Luc Dubois' talent. But just to grab a guy to appease the French community, it's wrong. We went through this with Jonathan Drouin to appease the French community. We got to stop appeasing certain communities. If you want your team to be successful, you got to stop. We don't have, until you get a Mario Lemieux or a Guy Lafleur type, then you need to stop because Quebec is not producing them at that level right yet. They probably will, because I think they're putting a push on to try to get minor hockey rolling the way it used to. They're more interest because they lost. There's been a lot of loss of interest in Quebec from what they have said. And so yeah, that case right there, it's a nightmare zone. We've had Andrew Shaw, we've had many veterans, um, and a few reporters that you know they're not on the bandwagon. They're telling they're telling you the actual facts about Pierre-Luc Dubois, and then you got Winnipeg wanting to excuse me, they want um, teams to pay like triple what the guy's worth. His value's down where he's wanting out, and he's everybody knows he's not a playoff player. He doesn't. There's no heart there. Sorry to say. So just because he wants to come to Montreal, what do you want him to come to Montreal? And then his projected salary is between 8.5 and could be around 11. Anywhere's there, especially when he's going to be renegotiating a contract after next year. There's a projection that it could go anywhere. And if the cap space, the cap for players goes up, there's a good chance this guy goes for 11 million. Do you want to waste that much money on a guy that is an underachiever, is nowhere to be found in the playoffs, and is a whiner, and has not got the heart? Talented? No one's ever debated Jonathan Drouin's talented. These guys don't show up, and they're bad for the culture in your locker room. So, I hope that, guys like Hughes and Gordon watch these videos from podcasts because some of us know a bit about hockey. And don't be afraid to, stand your guns. You guys know what talent is. Don't let the pressure of a community fall upon you because that's what's killed the Habs for the last 25 to 30 years. We had one little stint in that stretch where Gainey had the team and he had it back competitive. Only problem was they were so small. And then after he left, they fell apart again. And they've been apart since because our 2021 their run was a total fluke. Yeah, that was total Carey Price being hot and us just having a little luck because we didn't deserve to be in the playoffs that year. Being in the Atlantic is what got us there. So that was just a total utter fluke. That team was bad. This team has been bad for a long time. So we don't need to make those mistakes again. Next one is glad to see it. There was a press conference interview with Hughes, and it was nice to see him answer the question and finally get it off because there was, of course, I'm telling you, man, these insiders want to create a lot of rumors, and there was so much. Oh, Montreal will be interested in Carter Hart from Philadelphia. Well, Carter Hart has not lived up to his name either, so I was glad to see Kent Hughes put that rumor to rest. No, Montreal is not interested whatsoever. Thank God, because there's an overrated goaltender. I think Montembeault is not far from his level, and Montembeault might be a little more consistent in the recent times. And I think Montembeault is climbing, so Montembeault's a kid that don't give up on him. He's done. Look what he did with the Worlds there. He stood on his head. It just shows you what he can do with a good team. But the way he's paced himself this year from last year in Montreal, it's been quite an improvement. You never know. This guy might be able to take the first role. I don't think, but he'll be a damn good backup if he doesn't get the first role. But I'm not ruling him out for the starter role. So that being said, glad to see that ended, that rumor bill thing. Then I heard another late one on a podcast that I was listening to about 2 or 3 hours ago tonight, and I just had to laugh at it. The rumors are supposedly about us trading up for a fourth round draft pick to get Will Smith. Now that sounds fine and dandy. If Kent Hughes is hell bent on him, I guess it would be better than being stuck in the dilemma of being that team that was the last shot at Michikov, and I think that's the reason. Take the heat off there. Although I think the one thing that was said in that podcast, although I don't totally 100% agree, cost-wise, I don't think this party knows the valuability. I think to move up to that spot, you don't need to give up a crap load. Giving up that 31st draft pick and your fifth to get up to 4 is plenty. It's more than plenty to get that. So I do expect a big splash. So I don't know if that 31st pick is going to stay. I can see that moving. And I do think Montreal does want to. I think they are trying to move up because I do think they want between Will Smith and Carlson. And it puts them in a better position for that. And I'd like to see it because I'd love, personally, I want Carlson. And if I can't have Michnikov, then I'd rather have Carlson next. And that sounds the way they're going. They're trying to avoid. They know that they would skip on Michnikov. And if you're going to skip on him, you might as well move up and have a shot at one of the other two guys, which is Carlson and Smith. And they're both pretty darn good players, so nothing wrong with that. I mean, personally, I would, if I was even in second, I would take Carlson over Fantilli. I'm sorry, Fantilli hasn't proven himself to me. That last World Juniors, he wasn't to the level that they were bragging about him to be. He in that tournament, he just was not all that. I mean, when Arbai Roy plays stood out a hell of a lot more than Fantilli, that's telling you something. So to me, he's got to prove more before, and I'm not saying that he isn't the player that they think he is, but he's got to prove it, and he hasn't proven it to me. So Carlson has proven it. Will Smith has shown that he's proving it. Michkov's definitely proven it. I'm just afraid. I mean, Michkov to me is going to be a generational player as well. He's great on the heels of Bedard. Yes, Bedard's better by a bit, but I believe Michkov is another generational player that's not far behind. But we're going to pass on him. There's no doubt Montreal's going to pass on him. So that being, this hearing this podcast, and then this party said we would have to give up our fifth, our 31st, and a couple of assets. I don't think you have to give up that much. I think that's a little bit of an overpayment to move up one spot. Now, maybe if you were moving up to number 2, and don't rule that out because I think everybody's forgetting now that's fourth is San Jose. And San Jose wants Will Smith. So that could work out. That would get us up to 4. But that 5th and that 31st are plenty to make that maneuver. Might even be a slight overpayment by us. However, it would get you a Will Smith or Carlson for sure. But I would not even rule out, and the word is, and it's all rumor though. We don't know this. They're up to something. We know there's going to be a big splash, and I do think that 31st pick is going to get moved. I just think it's going to be involved in something because they're going to want to move up somehow, whether it's to get a second pick up higher, and they can. It's not a bad idea to get rid of a couple of the assets because we got too many. And I would never, ever, ever give up. I heard this party mention Messer. Messer hasn't. He's just a kid. Let the kid fill out. Now with Barrel, he's had more time in. And he's gotten a taste in the NHL. He looks like Charles Hudon. If you're going to give up somebody, you give up Barrel. You don't give up Messer, who just started out and was on a really bad team. So let's give that kid a shot and let him fill out. He's got talent. Whereas Farrell, sorry, you can see an awful lot of Charles Hudon. It's not that he's not talented, but he's more of an AHL type guy. That is his highest level, really, truthfully. So with that being said, I just wanted to address those because those are things that need to be addressed because we got insiders, the insiders making a lot of rumors. There's other small podcasts spitting opinions. Nice to see though that particular podcast finally did admit that we'd be better off getting Will Smith over wasting a shitload of money to get Pierre-Luc Dubois, who's an underachiever. That's what I'm saying. This guy likes Pierre-Luc Dubois, but at least to hear him say it would be much better to get Carlson or Will Smith. That was nice to hear him say. I think he's realizing, just like Junkie realized. Well, Junkie realized it much sooner that way too much money for Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's not worth a cent of that type of money. You don't want him being paid more than Suzuki and Caulfield. He doesn't bring it every night, and the playoffs he definitely doesn't bring it. So we just don't need a bigger sized. Yeah, he would have better production than Drouin. I get that. But when the playoffs come, you wouldn't find him. We don't need soft players and moody players. And the moment he gets upset with a coach or a GM, oh, trade me. Oh, I'm not going to play. And he puts no effort out. No, that's horrific for your culture. So I say, Hughes and Gordon, stick to your guns. And I got to watch the latest Tony Marinaro show because I believe he addressed this. I want to see what he said because all of a sudden, recent weeks he had changed and was pushing for Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I know it was due to the influence of guys like Eric Engels, which is that speaks for itself. So I'm hoping that maybe he's regathering his thoughts on this. So I got to watch that episode just to see. But I've stood by my guns all the way against anybody, and there's been a lot of people pumping the tires on Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm about reality, a reality. I want to bring a reality to my channel, not just a simple opinion. Let's bring the facts to the table. Let's not use any favoritisms. Let's go with the numbers, the facts. Facts are he's way too expensive for our budget, for the talent he brings. Yes, he's got talent. It's just not utilized. You got to have heart with that, and that doesn't exist. We don't need an Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews, although is more consistent than Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's really phenomenal in the season. Whereas playoffs, he also goes to sleep. So sometimes some of these stars, they're just superstars. There's far and few between. You look at Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Draisaitl. I'm just using those three as examples. Those are the ones that show up. Those are the superstars that show up. I can even say Mitch Marner showed up more than Austin Matthews in Toronto, and that's a big problem because all their playoff runs with Austin, that's why they've lost. He doesn't show up. He gets soft, and he's a big boy. He doesn't need to be soft. So to see Marner had bad ones as well until this year. He really played well this year. Well, he brought his game up for a small guy. And John Tavares, who gets a bunch of the heat in Toronto, well, that guy brings it every playoff. So you can't question that man. And leadership, that's a true captain. To compare Austin, to give him the C, what a joke. What, because he's got high numbers in the season and doesn't show in the playoffs? Give me a break. Yeah. So that's Toronto's problem, not ours. But anyway, I do believe I've seen something else too that I think there is an interest. I do know I got a very good vibe that the Habs are interested in a goaltender. I'm hoping it is in the draft, like it's Rubel or the other fellow from Canada. Anywho, well, actually, I think he's Czech. No, Rubel's the Czech. That's right, or Slovakian or something like that. That's playing in American. Yeah. Anyway. So I want to thank you for joining me. This one was a little longer, and I didn't plan on it being longer. Although I know what made it longer was that Samsung spiel. Hit the likes, please, if you could. That would be muchly appreciated. And subscribe. Tell your friends and family about it. And where does the puck drop first? At Center Hice, and we shall see you if any news breaks. We've got our eye open because I'm expecting the Logan Mailloux thing the news on it to happen any day. So anyway, and we're that close to 2 weeks away from the draft. Get ready to go. God bless you. Take care, and we'll see you next time.